Hello, my name is Callista and welcome to another video update. Today is December 31st, so Happy New Year's. I hope that 2023 treated you well and that 2024 shall treat you even better. Now, as is customary for my video updates, I have some cider. Now, I should admit, it is very warm in this back room, so I have been taking some sips of this. I do apologise, I couldn't wait. It was a nice cold cider and I am currently sweating cobs, so I needed to take a sip. This is Old Mount cider, berries and cherries. Now, just to give a little bit of a review, it is a very fizzy cider. I tried the Old Mount pineapple and raspberry and that was really fizzy too, so I guess that Old Mount just like a lot of fizz in their drink. It smells really, you can really smell the berries. The berries really come through. The cherry's not so much in the smell, but in the taste, that's where all the cherry is. The cherry, it really comes full power, really quite sour in the taste. It's a pretty tasty cider. I'm enjoying it so far, so cheers. Very nice. I will say, I do think I prefer the pineapple and raspberry. It's a very odd flavour combination, but it really went together. So that's not to say that the berries and cherries is bad. It's quite nice. I just think that the pineapple and raspberry, I just think it slightly edges it out. It's still quite a nice cider though. Now then, onto the channel update proper. What are we currently playing? We have Mass Effect 2 Legendary Edition, Danganronpa V3, and Immortality. Very quickly, if you were looking forward to Immortality this weekend, I do apologise. I just decided, what with me having a video update coming out today, and because we didn't get a Mass Effect on Monday, I decided to have what should have been Friday's Mass Effect on Saturday. Just with all of that, I decided to just skip Immortality for this weekend. It will be back next Saturday as is regularly scheduled. However, to anyone who was looking forward to Immortality this weekend, I do apologise for that. I hoped you enjoyed the Mass Effect in its place. Yes, Mass Effect 2 Legendary Edition. Let's start with the primary series. I am enjoying Mass Effect, but I've got to be honest, I do prefer Mass Effect 1. I think Mass Effect 1 was a lot better in terms of its main story. I think where Mass Effect 2 really shines is the companions. I think the writing for the companions it's just increased dramatically. It is so much better than Mass Effect 1. But the main plot, that's where I'm finding that the game really lets itself down. Because there have been so many times where I'm just kind of like, wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? It kind of feels like the game has dumbed down bits of its lore because it wants to tell a very specific story, and that is, it's Shepard and their team against the universe. Shepard can only rely on their team and they're fighting for the galaxy, but the galaxy doesn't respect them back. It's them against the world, blah, 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 blah. And that isn't a bad story to tell, but like I said, it feels like they've dumbed down certain aspects of the lore and certain factions as well. I think a really good example would be the Council. In the first game, the Council, I describe them as incompetent, but not necessarily malicious. That's how I describe the Council in the first game. And then in the second one, we've only had one cutscene with them, but they were so hostile. And I understand, that Shepard is now with Cerberus, or at least that is the story that is being told. I get that, but to outright ignore a threat? And yes, I understand Shepard is the only one who had the visions. Why would you trust some visions? Blah, blah, blah. But they had a dead Reaper. They had a dead Reaper on their doorstep. And rather than examining it, I'm blaming the cider. I've had too much. I promise I'm not a lightweight. It's just very hot and I haven't eaten much today and the cider is having an effect. I promise I'm not a lightweight. My pride. My British pride, how dare. Yes, rather than examine it, they just decided, we'll let scavengers have at it and we'll just ignore it. What? That's the only where I can express how I feel. I understand the Taurians doing that. I understand the Taurians doing that because they are known for their military might, not necessarily their critical thinking skills. So and especially because Sovereign was brought down by humans, and the Taurians and humans have beef, I can understand the Taurians getting very salty and offended and just saying, right, Shepard is crazy, we're not going to examine it, fuck that. Like, I can understand that being the Taurians' reaction. I can understand the Asari not wanting to rock the boat and saying, you know what, if you're so offended, Taurians, then we will stick with you because you are our allies and we don't want to upset you, so we won't examine it either. Yeah, Shepard is totes crazy. I can understand that. I don't understand the Solarians doing that. And again, I know the arguments, oh, living starships are not a technology that is known in this universe. It's unthinkable. Why would they think that Shepard was correct? To which I say, yeah, but the Solarians know about living starships because they examined one before, and they're actively trying to prove that they did examine it. The Leviathan of Dis. I will always remember that codex entry because that was the planetary description that really captured my imagination. That was my favourite one in all of Mass Effect. Basically, the Batarians found on the planet of Dis, I believe it was the remnants of a living starship, Leviathan, and the Solarians got involved, they examined it, they confirmed, yep, this was once a living starship, and then the Leviathan disappeared, and the Batarians started saying, oh, whatever the Solarians have, they've forged it, it's fake, it's, fake news, we don't know anything about that, they're crazy, they're talking out their asses, and ever since then the Solarians have been trying to prove, no, living starships are real, we examined one, we're not crazy. So the fact that they would have the corpse of a living starship on their doorstep, and they would instead, rather than saying, oh, the proof that we finally needed, we can examine that and maybe prove our point, bearing in mind that they're the scientists, they're the sneaky buggers who know everyone else's business, instead of trying to prove their own point, they said, yeah, now we're not going to examine that, fuck Shepard, fuck this. I'm like, that makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense for their species. Everything we have been told about them says that they would, at the very least, in secret examine it. They would publicly say, oh yeah, we stand with the rest of the council. Hey guys, fucking go get it. Like, they'd do something like that. And they haven't. Instead, they're just being like, oh yeah, we don't believe you. You're crazy. Nah. I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. I get that you want to tell the story of it's Shepard against the universe, but if you're dumbing down other factions to make that work, maybe that isn't the story you should be telling. I think it could actually be quite interesting if, after the conversation with the council where they basically tell you to piss off, if maybe you were contacted by the Solarian councillor who was like, hey, yeah, I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus in public, but we've actually been secretly examining it, and we know that what you're saying is true. Can we help you out? I think that could have been quite an interesting dynamic, and it could have brought about some very interesting consequences. The council is fractured. People that, we never foresaw that the Solarians would betray us by going and hanging out with Shepard. Like, oh my god, like that could create some very interesting drama. And again, they just wanted to tell the story of like, oh, Shepard's on their own. The main story really lets Mass Effect 2 down, in my opinion. But the companions are fantastic. The companions are absolutely great. Companions who, on paper, I should despise. Like Miranda. Miranda is a very good example. If you told me about the pro-terrorist organization girl who was designed to be perfect, I'd be like, oh great, terrorist Mary Sue, thanks. But then you get to know her, and she's incredibly deep, and I loved her companion quest. It was a very simple companion quest, but that bit at the end where you can encourage her to talk to her sister, that was so moving. That was beautiful. The companions really make up for a lot of Mass Effect 2's flaws, in my opinion. I'm still, like I said, I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first. I am enjoying myself, but I find myself raising my eyebrow at the main plot a lot. I'm like, really? This is where you're going? Okay, like I'll follow, but certain things do not make much sense to me. There are some plot holes here. You know what? I'm gonna take a sip. Why not? Gorgeous. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Mass Effect 2. Danganronpa V3. When I originally started playing V3, I was a little nervous. I think I've mentioned before, I was rather Danganronpa'd out by the end of Danganronpa 2, because let's be honest, the Danganronpa games, it's pretty much the same game every single time. Students wake up with no memories, they have to kill each other to survive, murders happen, you have to do the class trials, like it is pretty much the same game over and over and over again. And I was a little worried about how much I was going to enjoy V3, and I'm very happy to say that those worries were... that I shouldn't have worried so much. I really shouldn't have worried so much. V3 is, so far, because I've only played the first 2 chapters. I've started on chapter 3, but I'm not even halfway through the game yet. So, you know, something could happen. We could have a twist that I'm just like, oh, what the fuck is that? Why am I now playing as Kaito? What is going on? Everyone else is dead, dear lord. Like, we could have some twist like that where I would not enjoy myself. But if the game carries on as it has been, Danganronpa V3 is easily my favourite of the trilogy. With the first game, I like the cases, I like the trials, but the characters, dear god, I hated most of the cast of Danganronpa 1. The cast really made that game unenjoyable for me. I absolutely hated it. I've said this before, Danganronpa 1 is the closest I have ever come to cancelling a Let's Play because one of the chapters made me so miserable. I wasn't enjoying myself at all, and I want to enjoy the games I play. With the second game, there was improvement. There was definite improvement. The cast was a lot stronger, and again, the mysteries and the trials were fantastic. But again, I don't know how to explain this. I guess because the main kind of story beat around the first 2 games was, oh, what happened at Hope's Peak? What happened to the students there, the Ultimates, the Future Foundation? What's going on with all of that? And I simply didn't care. Like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. But I also wasn't like, ooh, Hope's Peak, what happened to Hope's Peak? Oh, Junko, what's going on with her? Oh, like, I was like, okay, Hope's Peak, it exists. Like, I've been told, oh, you need to play Ultra Despair Girls, and you need to watch the anime, otherwise you'll have too many questions about what happened at the end of the first 2 games, and I really don't. Because I don't care what happened to those characters. I don't care what happened to Hope's Peak. I don't care what happened to the Future Foundation. I enjoyed them for what they were, but I'm not interested in any of the outside material. So for V3, going off in a completely separate direction, you know, we have a new universe, a new story. I'm enjoying that. I'm really enjoying that. And I've absolutely loved the second chapter. The first chapter was fantastic. I was concerned, you know, how are they going to top this? And they did. They did top it, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed trying to figure things out as the clues came up. With the first 2 games, you always got a front row seat to the setup of the crimes, and that was fun. But the big issue with that is that by the time the crime happened, you had all of the clues set up. So you could just be like, oh, okay, we have, you know, I don't know. Oh, someone's been stabbed in the beach house. Well, because of this, and this, I know that this is probably how it happened and this person is probably the killer. Like, because you had all of the setup, you had all of the clues. So all you need to see is like, oh, okay, so there's the body. Here's how it happened. And I've really enjoyed with chapter 2 that we didn't get any of that. That we were just presented, okay, here's the body, work out how it happened. And I loved going around and being like, okay, we have a clue. How does this fit in? Oh, and we have this. How do these mash together? And how do they affect this? Like, I absolutely loved the second chapter. It was so much fun trying to work out what happened in real time rather than just storing up clues. I'm loving V3. I'm really hopeful that the game will continue, even if it doesn't get any better, even if it just kind of like, you know, doop and then evens out. I'm so hopeful that it will even out, and if it's just as good as the second chapter, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. It doesn't need to improve from here on out. I'm just like, please, just be as good as you've been. Be as good as you've been, and I will be happy. I'm loving V3. I'm still, I don't want to say that I'm gonna love the rest of it, because like I said, there could be an awful twist, and I'm just like, oh no. But so far, it's easily my favourite of the Danganronpa games, so I'm fingers crossed it remains as good as it is. And the weekend series we are playing is Immortality. So, with Immortality, I don't really have much to say, because I've only played 3 episodes, and because I wasn't uploading an episode this week, and it's been like 2 weeks since I last recorded. I've only played 3 episodes. I'm enjoying it. We have a lot of questions, what happened to Marissa Marcel? Who is the creepy lady? Why did she show up in the way that she did? What does she mean? I'm not entirely sure if she is metaphorical or if she was real, because how do I put this? Also, how do I put this in a way that people will understand if you haven't seen the Let's Play? Basically, with Immortality, we are trying to find out what happened to an actress. We are looking through clips from her old films to try and, see what was happening on set and this, that, and the other. And during one of the clips, the controller started to vibrate, and I went back, and suddenly the clip morphed into something else, and it was a different lady in Marissa Marcel, that is the actress we're trying to figure out what happened to her. Someone else was in Marissa Marcel's place. And so if she is a metaphor, well, metaphors don't affect films? That's not how that works. But then if she was real, that means that partway through filming, they either said, okay, cut the shot, Marissa, get into hair and makeup, and we're going to make you look like a completely separate person, and we're going to have you continue on with the scene, or someone came on set and said, Marissa, move, I'm taking your place. And that doesn't make much sense either. I'm loving Immortality. I have so many questions, and I am so excited to get into it, to properly get into it, and try and figure out all of the mysteries. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying most of the games I'm playing. Like I said, Mass Effect 2 has been a little bit of a letdown. I'm still enjoying myself, but it's just when I compare it to Mass Effect 1, I'm a bit like, oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. But like I said, for the most part, I'm really enjoying myself with the current selection of games I have. Channel goals, where are we with that? Well, I wanted to get to 1,000 subs by June the 1st, 2024, and currently the channel is sat at 878. I'm so happy with how the channel has been growing recently. 1 second. We shall toast the channel, why not? Why not? Lovely jubbly. Yes, I'm very happy with how the channel has grown, and considering where I'm ending the year, I think we have a pretty good chance. It's not that far, 878 to 1,000. I feel like we're on the home stretch. There may be a semi-decent chance of me actually reaching my goal by the next June the 1st. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We're going to work really hard in the first half of 2024 to try and make that goal happen. So I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy with how the channel is doing. Okay, now personal update. Oh, what has been going on with me? Well, I always feel guilty in these, end of year wrap-ups, because literally for the past 2 years, I haven't had very good years. My 2020 was amazing. It was a terrible year for the world, but for me personally, it is one of the best years I've had in recent memory. I did a lot of working on myself in 2020, and I started my YouTube channel. I was very productive, and I was in the best shape of my life, I would say, in 2020. I was living the dream, to be honest. And then in 2021, I lost both my grandmother and my cat, and I was not doing so good mentally. And then in 2022, again, it was... How do I put this? I've mentioned this before. My ex-fiance, the issue I had in that relationship was that I was expected to take care of his emotions. It's when things were good, things were great, and he was always so supportive of my interests when I was happy, when I had something that brought me joy and I wanted to tell him about it, even if he wasn't interested. Like with I've only had the 2 partners, so that's when I say my boyfriend, I mean the guy I dated. I dated when I was 22, and when I'm talking about my ex-fiance, I'm talking about the guy I dated most recently. With my boyfriend, from when I was young, everything revolved around him. Everything revolved around him and his interests, and if I had something that I loved, he would do everything he could to break it down, so that I would say, okay, you're right, the thing you prefer is better. It's like in his mind, the pinnacle of fantasy was Lord of the Rings. That was the best fantasy series, setting, etc. It was the best fantasy setting in the entire world. And in my opinion, the best fantasy setting is Dragon Age, just because I fucking love it. I don't have any arguments as to why Dragon Age trumps Lord of the Rings. I just prefer it. That's it. That's literally my only argument. I prefer it. If you have this, and this reason to say why Lord of the Rings is better, I'm not going to argue with you. I simply prefer Dragon Age. And he couldn't stand that. Because, the argument of, I just prefer it, you can't argue with that. You can bring as many logical, but Lord of the Rings has this, and this. You can bring any number of arguments, but if someone just prefers something, there's no you can really argue that with. And so he would go out of his way, he played Dragon Age, and he would go out of his way to nitpick at certain things to try and get me to admit, oh yeah, Dragon Age is inferior to Lord of the Rings, and that caused so many arguments because he wasn't paying attention to the lore. And so he'd bring me things like, oh, well, this doesn't make any sense. And because I know the lore, I'd be able to go, well, you've misunderstood. It's actually, this. So your argument doesn't make any sense. And he got so annoyed with that. He got so annoyed that he couldn't make me prefer Lord of the Rings to Dragon Age. And with my ex-fiance, if I... he hated true crime. He hated anything true crime, and I love true crime. And I'd be able to talk to him about this, and he wouldn't go, oh, well, I'm not interested, so shut up. I don't want to hear about it. Or, oh, well, I prefer, I'm not into true crime. I like this. I like American football, so you need to like American football. He was very much like, oh, I'm not really interested in this, but, I'll hear you out. Tell me about it, honey. Tell me this stuff. I enjoy seeing you happy. When things were good, when things were happy, it was great. But when I needed help, when I was like I said, it was all in 2021 when I lost my grandmother and my cat. I needed support. I needed help, and that he couldn't provide. There was this undertone of, you need to deal with my emotions and your own. I'm not willing to deal with your emotions because my emotions take precedence. My trauma takes precedence. You need to hold up both your own shit and my shit. And you can't do that indefinitely. You can't do that indefinitely. And as I said, that's kind of what, caused our breakup. And this has been my first full year as a single person, and I was struggling at the beginning of the year. I mentioned this before. I had a video about this because I was still talking to my ex-fiance, and it was just getting me down. It was just getting me down because I'm not entirely sure why. I think he thought I'd be proud of him, but he was basically coming to me and saying, hey, all of the stuff I had you do for me, yeah, I'm actually capable of doing it myself. Look at all of the stuff I've done that I made you deal with. I'm now dealing with it perfectly fine on my own. I didn't need you to do any of that stuff. I just wanted you. to do that stuff. And like, I think he genuinely thought I'd be proud of him, but it was just getting me down. It was just getting me down that I had sacrificed so much of my mental health and well-being for someone who ultimately didn't need me to sacrifice all of that. They just wanted me to sacrifice that. And I really struggled with that at the beginning of the year. Then we got to around June, and I started I started channeling crackhead energy. And crackhead energy spurred me on. Crackhead energy gets shit done, I am telling you. When in doubt, get crackhead energy. I'm surprised there isn't an energy drink called crackhead energy. Like, I'm really surprised. Like, I would think that someone would have thought of that. Either way, with the aid of crackhead energy, I actually was getting like onto it. I was vibing. I was doing my thing. And then October, like late September, early October rolled around, and it gets dark out. I don't do so well when it starts getting dark quite early on. I'm not fond of that. I like autumn, I like fall, it's my favourite season, but as soon as we reach the stage where it starts getting real dark real quick, I always get a little bit like, oh no. And I dumped my ex in late September, early October, so I think it just brought up some memories. And in a way, what kind of ended up happening, I took a good look at myself, and it just... It highlighted how much I let myself slip, because when I said this earlier on, in 2020 I was in the best shape I've ever been, and what happens when I am stressed, I eat. That has always been my go-to thing. I am a stress eater. When I am upset, when I can't deal with what is going on, I eat. And because I had no assistance, I ate, and I ate a lot. And I just sort of looked at myself and I was like, flipping heck. Because what happened? I went to go get takeout. I walked to my local Chinese, and I was walking back, and it's like a 10-15 minute walk, and I was bloody winded. I was like, this ain't right. This ain't good. This is not it. And yeah, it really just highlighted how much I'd let myself go, and that I found deeply upsetting. To combat that, as you may be able to see in the background there, we have an exercise bike. I decided, yeah, no, I'm not getting winded after a 15-minute walk. In my defense, it is uphill. It is uphill. I live in a very hilly area, but still, it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That ain't right. So I've bought myself an exercise bike, still putting it together, but I'm hopeful. I'm going to use that whilst I'm editing, because I can. I have Bluetooth headphones now, so I can exercise whilst I edit. And yeah, I'm determined to get back to where I was in 2020. I am very determined to get back to that. I'm not being winded after 15 minutes. I'm not bloody having it. No, thank you. And for anyone saying the cider probably isn't helping, I only have a cider like every couple of months. This is not a regular thing for me. I very rarely drink. It's eating that's the problem. I like to eat, what can I say? Food is good. But too much, and no, you get winded after 15 minutes. Not having it, no thank you. And beyond that, I've just been focusing on me. I've just been focusing on, as I said, trying to get back to where I'm happy and healthy and just mentally sound. It's been good. It's been hard, but it's been good. I've really enjoyed this year. Like I said, not having to stress about what is going on in someone else's life and how much weight am I going to have to carry. That has been phenomenal. That has been fantastic. Just worrying about my own shit. And, okay, how are we going to deal with that? We don't have any excess baggage. We just have to focus on this one thing at a time. It's been such a relief. Honestly, it's been such a relief. It's been a tough year. It's definitely been a tough year, but it's been a happy one. It's been a very happy one. I'm very relieved to say that this isn't another, New Year's update where I'm just like, this has been a terrible year. I don't know. Like I said, I always feel badly. I always feel badly ending the year just being like, this has been a shit year, dear Lord. It's been tough, but happy and good. And like I said, I feel like I'm slowly getting back to myself. I feel like I'm slowly working my way back to where I was really productive and really happy. And it's been good. It's been good taking those moments for, self-care is really important. I've been doing a lot of drawing, and my drawing has really improved. You know what? I'll just cycle through the drawings I've done from this year. I'm really happy with the improvement, especially when you compare, because some of the characters I've drawn previously, and being able to look and see the difference, that has been such a boost to my confidence levels. It's been fantastic. I've absolutely loved drawing and just practicing that. And let's see what else. I actually bought myself some new clothes for the first time in, God. I'm actually having to think. I don't think I've bought new clothes for myself since I think I would have been 21. I'm 28 now. And that, in part, that is my mother and father's doing. With the type of family that uses stuff until it's threadbare. So yeah, I've just been using clothes that, like, you really can't go outside in them, but they're good for house clothes. They're good for house clothes. However, I invested in some new t-shirts. I actually bought this dress. I think it looks pretty decent. I feel very cute in it. Yeah, I've just been focusing on me. And that's been good. It's been good. It's been like I said, there have been moments where I've looked at myself and gone, flipping heck, how did you let yourself get this low? And it's here's the thing. I think one of my biggest flaws is that I really struggle to care about myself. I love being a cheerleader for other people. I love just being able to help. I love being able to be a listening ear, or someone that, like, oh, like, you can vent to me, like, whatever. I like helping other people, but when it comes to helping myself, I just kind of think, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck about you? Just deal with it. And that's kind of how I've been my entire life, and it is very difficult to change that. However, if I don't change that, then I won't be able to do what I enjoy, which is helping other people. So, you have to fix this. You have to fix this to go do things that you actually enjoy. So that's kind of been my thought process so far. It's tough to change the way you've thought your entire life, but it's like I said, it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile, I think. I need to learn how to care about myself. I really need to learn that. Beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, so it's been a tough year, but a good one. And I don't think I'd change it. And I'm looking at my notes, and I think that is it. I think that is it for me. You know what? Let's see how long this video has been. 34 minutes. Oh dear. Sorry that this video update has gone on for so long. I just had a lot to talk about this year. Yeah, I think I'm going to end off here. I hope you have a fantastic 2024. I hope you are celebrating bringing in the new year in whatever way you like. Maybe that's having a nice wee drink. Maybe that's enjoying some delicious food. Maybe that's hanging out with your friends and family and just, singing and having a good time. I hope you are bringing in the new year in whatever way makes you the most happiest. Have a good one, and I will see you next time.